have to know when to take off the cape. Now, this is something I picked up somewhere, maybe reading about Jimi Hendrix. And my good friend Paul watches this channel. And Paul, I have to salute Paul. He is the ultimate weekend warrior. And he stepped away from the music business, a guy who had, literally like 20, 25 years on the road with different artists, big names. And when he walked away for good. Yeah, he stayed in town for about a year. But man, he got into a completely different line of work. And now he's out. Yeah, he still plays. And he's an incredible player. One of the best bass players in town. But he walked away from it. He took off the cape for good. Like Apocalypse Now. He got that final mission. And once he was done with that mission, he never wanted another one. But what do I mean by take off the cape? Paul reached out to me and said, man, don't forget to tell him about, don't take off the cape. Don't forget to take off the cape. A lot of rock stars were inspired by comic books, especially Elvis. And I guarantee, Jimi Hendrix was. He mentioned Superman in one of his songs. I won't repeat that lyric. But, Elvis, with his cape, he would have his cape on, and we're talking 70s Elvis, pills Elvis. Elvis doing anything to get through the show. What killed Elvis? The drive, the need to be on stage. There are people that lifestyle nearly killed. And I'm sure there were times where Elvis was in the hospital. And exhaustion. And they just couldn't wait to get back out on the stage. It's the moth to the flame. If you're watching this and you're, feeling the effects of this lifestyle, of this touring or weekend warrior lifestyle, and you're dealing with health issues, you need to seriously think about stepping back, at least for a while. It's okay to stop and recharge. If Elvis had taken a year off, gone to rehab, cleaned himself up, and thought about it, and worked a different way to do this, maybe he'd still be around today. I don't know. He certainly would have lived past, 43 when he died? 47? I don't remember. I was just a little kid when my mother came in the room and told me that the one music star that I had, the only person I bought records from, was dead. He was dead. It was the hardest thing for her to come in that room, and I had just come home. I had just come home from being in Florida with my grandmother, and now I was home, and it was just a few days after my birthday, and to come in my room and tell me, and something inside of me kept me strong at that time. I'm actually closer to tears now than I was then, because the last time we had seen him, I knew something was wrong. I knew that, I didn't know about, and the rumors had started coming out. They had Elvis What Happened book that his bodyguards had written. And, Elvis denied it. He denied all of those allegations. But the fact was, when I saw him live, that I could tell that he was not in good shape. He was not of good health. And when I was last out on the road, I was in a similar state. I was doing whatever it took to get out on that stage and play that show. And that included eating and drinking. And I was in terrible shape. I was in worse shape than Elvis. And I was older than Elvis. But when you're out there, you put on the cape. And what do I mean by the cape? It's like a superhero cape. Superman had two. He was the duality of man. He was the superhero, and then he was the mild-mannered reporter. Now, musicians, when we're not on stage, we are the mild-mannered reporter. We are Clark Kent. We're the guy that the girls doesn't really take serious. Oh, Clark, you're so cute. Someday you'll find yourself a girlfriend. Oh, Clark, oh, poor Clark, right? Lois would always say to Clark Kent. But then Clark would put on that cape and he'd go out there on that stage and he would rock the world, right? Superman would fly around the world saving the day. And then Lois took notice. Oh, Superman, oh, Superman, you're so incredible. So when we get on that stage, we put on that cape. Not literally, not in an Elvis jumpsuit way. Get on the stage and spread that cape. Elvis was just imitating Captain Marvel and Superman. As a little kid, he'd wanted to save the day. He wanted to get the girl. He wanted to rise out of that poverty. Tupelo, Mississippi, shotgun shack, dirt on the floor. He had to put on that cape. He had to rise to the challenge. And he had a talent. He had a God-given gift, just like every one of you out there. We've all got a God-given gift. But we've got to know when to take off that cape. You got to take off that cape the minute you get off that stage. Because what happens when you don't? You cannot live as Superman forever. You've got to know when to put on that mild-mannered reporter outfit. Or even if you're Superman, you got to go to your Fortress of Solitude. Why do you think Superman had a Fortress of Solitude? Because he knew he had to go somewhere to think, to recharge. And if you're too busy playing rock star 24/7, chasing that high, there is no greater high than being on stage. There is no greater high than coming off that stage to the gleaming eyes of the local beauty queens, the ice cold beers and shots, and that celebratory revelry that we all feel when we get off stage. But what happens when you chase that high that you feel on stage? You're leaving the cape on, my friend. You've got to take the cape off when you get off stage. You're not Superman, you're Clark Kent. Remind yourself of that, because if you don't take that cape off, that superhero act will get you killed. This is serious business. You can't be Keith Richards. He's outlived them all. But even Keith Richards now, he's not living that lifestyle like he was before. He's outlived Prince. He's outlived his friend Jimi Hendrix. He's outlived Jim Morrison, Kurt Cobain, Michael Jackson. He's the one in a million. And you're not going to beat that. So, don't forget to take off the cape, Clark Kent. You are Clark Kent. You're not Superman. You may be a millionaire prancing on the stage, but you're still gonna have to serve somebody and take care of yourself.